first ever time I've ever streamed both YouTube. It's not going to be I always say it's not going to be a super long one, and it always turns out to be a couple hours. But I'm going to try not to do my first YouTube as a couple hour run. So I only have a couple baits I have ready. I'm already missing questions here. Oh, that was Jay. What's up, Jay? Tonight. So tonight I have a custom order tonight that is one of my razors. That it's going to be, I actually talked to the guy and he said whenever you do, get the people watching to pick the colors. So that's what I'm going to do tonight. I have this razor that I'm going to paint. I'm just going to do it random to whoever's watching. I'm going to just take colors, any ideas, and that's what we'll put together for this razor. And then the brand new bait that I have, which is in comparison to the 6-inch razor with a tail, this is about 5 inches with the tail, single joint glide. If you're not sure what this bait is, you can go over to my Instagram and I've been posting about it, so you can find out. Over here, like I said, if you see me looking over here, that's my YouTube. If you see me looking over here, that's my Instagram. YouTube, I don't know about comments. I don't see anything popping up. I mean, I only don't have anybody. I have one person in here. But yeah, I don't know if comments come up. I don't know how they scroll. So if I miss any comments on YouTube, I apologize. It's my first time and I don't know how that goes. Is he on clear or stained water, this guy? Does anybody know FOF fish? Jay, you do. You ordered some baits off him. It's for him. I don't know where he lives. He just said bright colors, cool colors, mix of colors, whatever. So while we kind of talk it out and think about it, I am going to lay a quick base coat on this razor just to keep it covered with a primer. Primer I always use, Autoborn Sealer, as always. He's in New England. Okay. So it's kind of like the stars were lining up for me not to do this live. So if this goes horribly bad, I've been getting all the signs not to do this. There's been tons of things that I've been running back and forth. I've actually been trying to get on since 10 after 8. It is 10 after 9 right now where I'm at. It's taken me an hour, like between forgetting things, getting things ready, forgetting that I had done nothing. I actually haven't been in my paint booth for about a week and a half. I've been doing other things like R&D and building, as well as soft plastics. I've been super busy. So I came in, sat down, got everything ready, got the baits all hooked up, everything's cleaned, and it's been alcohol, it's been completely decontaminated. I sit down, I put up my gun, because normally I would spray the base coat by now. I pick up my gun, and I guess the last time I did it, I sprayed paint, and I didn't clean it out. So I've spent the last hour, well, roughly hour, making sure this is hopefully workable. So before I even start speaking about doing this live, I should have tested chaos until something happens. FOF is in here. What's going on? He's on the Instagram. So far so good. The paint sprays. The tube's a lot clearer than the... For those on Instagram, YouTube, I've had it for about a year, and I made some videos and then never touched it again. So this is my way of starting to get content back on my YouTube. slow and steady before I start putting some actual videos on it. I got to figure out what people want to watch. There's so much content out there right now that I don't want to just double up and kind of do what everybody else is doing. So if there's questions or anything people have, you can send them to me through Instagram or my YouTube. I do have a Facebook. I'm less on Facebook. Anything on Facebook is just automatically sent there by whatever platform I'm posting on. So I am less likely to be on Facebook, but I do have a Facebook account, Hashimoto Concepts. YouTube's Hashimoto Concepts. Instagram, Hashimoto Concepts. Think you will ever do a 10-inch or a 12-inch bait? I don't, to be honest. So mainly, sorry, one sec. Mainly because I shouldn't say no, but I'm in no rush for it. I've spent a lot of time trying to make bigger glide baits, bigger swim baits. So currently the show gun that I make is an 8.5-inch glide bait, but it's got a high back to it, so it's about 3.5 inches, almost 4 inches in height, and it weighs 4 ounces. So I know there's a lot of baits that are way bigger than that out there. However, for me, it's a large bait. But the whole reason I kind of did this, and kind of I don't even like to call it a business plan, but I want to try to get a nice custom homemade bait into the hands of whoever wants one without having to take out a loan for it, right? Like there's some expensive homemade baits out there, which they should be. I know how much work goes into this, trust me. And they're worth every penny for the garage builders and the people that are making them, like myself, just on their own time. But my thought is, it's a horrible business model. It's a loser's business model, to be honest, because I'll never make money. I'll never be like successful with it. But I do want to have my bait in everybody's box that wants it, and I want them to be successful with it. And I know that there's a big market, and the market is growing for large baits. However, small lure baits catch fish too, and it's easier for me to build something that is unique, it's cool, it can be custom painted, and it's not going to be worth a ton of money. It's I'll have to go grab a Shogun to try on the upper. I'll be taking mine to the upper Niagara, if that's what you're talking about. I was gonna go this weekend, but that's not gonna happen. But yeah, I want to make, like, even this razor's a good size bait. It's a 6-inch bait. It's 2 ounces, 2.3 ounces. You're not gonna break your shoulder throwing it. It's a lipless swim bait, so it's got a great swim action. It's a suspending, so it'll sink on you. It's not a crazy fast sink either. Totally manageable in shallow waters. You just got to get that retrieve going a little quicker. But it does have a great swim action. You can burn it. You can do a nice slow swim. So as far as swim baits go, I love this. For multiple depths of water, because it will sink. You can get to a deeper channel as well, and it doesn't pop up as soon as you start reeling it in. You can kind of keep it at a depth that you're working. This new bait that I'm making, this 2-piece glide, this is brand new. I'm actually just painting this. This isn't a perfect pour even. I do have an air bubble right here. I can show you. There's a little bubble right there beside the hook hanger. You can see there. I also got one in the chin. There's a little air bubble there. This isn't as important to me. I just want to paint it because, especially as you get smaller baits, as your baits get smaller, the clear coat, depending on the clear coat you use, I use like an epoxy, sorry, I don't use a spray. That was kind of like a stroke I just had right there. I use an epoxy, so if you put on a thick coat of epoxy, it does actually change the way the bait moves, especially when you got something small like the one I just showed you. So I always try to do a test paint. It's going to be nothing special. It could be something special because I have kind of a vision on how I want to paint these, but want to get that painted, want to get a clear coat back in the water just to make sure before I can start sending them out to be used. So that's the plan with that. I'm sorry, I'm missing some. I was on Erie this morning. It was too rough. So the upper tomorrow. I also fished the upper for small jaws, but I'm going to try for skis this year. That's what I'm talking about, Jay. Hit up the big toothy bastards. I don't know if you follow or you know, I'm gonna butcher his name because I already forget. It's Dennis. I'd have to go check. I'm gonna be honest with you. I follow him. He fishes the upper Niagara. He's a guide on the upper Niagara. And he catches a lot of walleye and Lakers, but he gets on the muskie and he smashes them in Erie and into the basin to the upper Niagara. And I don't know how he does it, but he's like successful every time he goes out. The guy's a monster. Dennis, it starts with a K. Again, is it Crees? I know it starts with a K. If this ever gets to him, I apologize because I've watched him for the last year and a half. Sorry, I'm getting distracted from actually painting here. Okay, so razor. Any suggestions? So I got the white base coat on here. FOF, is he still in here? Let me just check real quickly. He is. Okay. Any base colors, anything you're looking for. This is also maybe this light is too bright for YouTube. Might just be that camera, to be honest. Two different phones. Any colors that you want, anything that I can show. Any ideas? Anything would be appreciated. Don't even have to pick some, just give me colors and I'll put something together. Let's see. Sorry, just waiting for the golden shad. I have a banner that I think I'm going to start hanging behind me so you don't see the rafters and all my tool stuff in my beer fridge. I know it's such a sweet, like, lime green and purple. Ooh, those are good colors. I like more natural, honestly, carp shiner shell. Let's get some colors out to start. Gray. These are going to be for the undercoat. So for shad, gray, white, pearl, a little bit of detailed sepia. I got to do this more instructional because it's going to go on my YouTube. I know I usually talk a little more on my Instagram, but I am going to post it on my YouTube, so this will be a 2-for-1. It is a live and instructional in case you're watching to figure out how to paint something somewhat natural like a shiner shad or a carp. But if others have colors to add for the flare, that's cool. We're going to stay away from the flare for now. because we are going to use these colors, always with a highlight interference. That's actually what's caked into my gun right now, and that is a good start. We're going to start with that. So I've already laid a base. Hopefully the glare comes off of the YouTube. It might not. It's my first one though. We'll figure that out. So even though I laid down a base coat with that primer, we're still going to hit it with a bright white. Just gets it a little more uniform. So I do have, over to my right, for anybody that's new to this channel, I do have a box that I spray into. I always use a mask as well, normally, but when I'm only painting one bait, one or two baits, and I'm on live like this, I tend not to, just so I can communicate. I know I've already had that brought up with a beard. It's not full. It's not full coverage when you're wearing a mask, but here we are. That humming sound is just my compressor. It's a silent air compressor, so hopefully it's not too loud. And I'm just laying that white down. I do have a clog in my gun somewhere still. I did take it apart to clean it, but it needs to soak in some alcohol. That'll be tonight's job. Giving it a deep clean after this. So just to get these out there more, like I said, I'm doing this on YouTube right now as well. So if you're doing this to listen, maybe, you're just interested, you're bored, you're interested in just hearing somebody talk, the YouTube might be easier to watch this back on if I get it posted, if I know how to post it. I am trying to just do more platforms just to get out there a little more. So I'm working towards getting 1,000 followers on TikTok just to get that going. So if you have TikTok, feel free to follow me on it so I can try to get those numbers up to do it on that. I just really enjoy doing this, enjoy the conversations that come out of it. This gun is definitely going to cause me issues. The humming is a lower volume than the gun itself. It just kind of sounds like you have some industrial ambient music playing in the background. Oh, they go so fast. Speaking of comments, I just came over from Insta. Oh, I appreciate that. Okay, as long as it's not distracting, too distracting, I'm just trying to... Because I do have a 50-foot compressor cord. I could put it into a different room and just run the cord through, but that's a lot to do. So all I'm doing here is I'm laying a gray base down. I'm not doing anything too detailed. This is going to get covered by the scale pattern. For those that don't know or follow FOF, he makes some of the most killer small swim baits out there. Give him a follow. I definitely agree to that. It does do some, it's not, bulk coverage guns usually, this is a big in comparison to some of the other ones. However, excuse me, the Iwata is, or the HPCS is like right in the middle. You can get some fine detail, you can lay a thick coat down as well. I try to do most of my patterning freehand, so because of that I do want a detailed gun. I just saw that. There we go. Let's tip this light out of the way. There, that's a better color. What was I saying? Detail. I try to do all my patterns. So because of that, I use two guns for everything. It's just kind of the workhorse that I. Tons of people say they like Bazo and Panache or Panache. About 10 years ago, and literally I still have that one, and this is my second one, and it's all I need. Ellie's fishing. What's going on? Buddy's speaking. Flip over to Nellie's fishing on over there, because there's no secrets. He's not doing anything. It is just real footage, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Unicorn, what's going on, brother? Carp with some gill blood. That sounds delicious. I've got the Iwata Neo, basically the cheapest, I believe. So the Neo, I've heard complaints about, the problem with the Neo is that, I mean, it's got the Iwata name, so a lot of people jump and is it down, unfortunately. So right now what I got, this is tool. This tool that I use is like 2-2, which gives me nice big, here's a loofah. The loofah gives, you can see nice big thick scale pattern versus this super tiny little scale. So depending on the bait I'm doing, the fish I'm trying to replicate, I have a bunch of different types of coverages that I use to different scale patterns. I have a few stencils for the gun, and that's what I mean, I've had people ask me what they need to get started, what they should use. Depends on where you're at. If you got like really got one foot through the door, you're not sure if you like it or not. I try to, when it comes to guns, compressors or airbrush guns, I always lean towards like find out what a good one is, because A, you can resell it if you don't like it. People will buy it. But the difference between a good airbrush gun and a less expensive airbrush gun that doesn't have the components that the better ones do are truly night and day. And you can be discouraged off of a less expensive gun and think that either you're bad or that it's too hard or it doesn't make sense or yours keeps screwing up and you don't know why. A lot of times that has to do with the gun. If you have a lesser expensive gun, and it's just the hardware that's in it. So when it comes to airbrushing, the gun that you have, if you just want to, get a better one, that gun you have, always for any gun, you in and get full coverage, which means you just blast out all of the paint at once. Primer, I pull the pin on my gun, so I just get full coverage. It's nice and quick. I slide the pin back in with my day. Like the Neo, if you're having detail work where you find that it spits or whatever, you can always pull the pin, do full coverage, get a better gun later, and use that for your detail work. The other thing is, if you're not looking to do fine details yourself and you're going to use all stencils, then it's less important on the type of gun you have, and that's just because you can set it to a full spray and just lessen your pressure so that you're just getting a nice even full coat. It's not detailed, it's just a full, just a full paint. And that will, if you're just putting like stencils, here's like a stencil. I'm just gonna lay the stencil on. I don't need to do detailed work on that. I'm just gonna base coat that whole thing and then pull it off and my stencil's there. So with that, you don't need that fine detail that you would have with another gun. So don't be tricked into buying a more expensive gun if what you're doing right now is just learning how to do it. Going backwards though, anybody that ever is curious about getting a gun, I always start with the HPCS. It is a little bit more expensive. However, you can resell it. People will buy it because it's a good gun. It's not like you're just going to sit on the market. You can get rid of it quickly. Call me, I might buy it. And then if you decide to put it down and come back a couple years later, like I said, this gun's 10 years old, 10 or 11 years, maybe 12 years old, and it still runs the exact same as my brand new one. So they don't go bad. I always just say kind of hold on to it. Not that I've been painting lures for 12 years, but I've had a gun when I was going to art school, and I wanted to get into airbrushing, like goalie masks and stuff like that. So, sorry, how tight is the mesh? Somebody asked me. Let me just push this back up here. So the mesh is pretty tight on there. Now there's always going to be spots because I'm doing, like there's a, like I've carved the fins in. So there's a gap there that it's impossible to get the mesh into, which is fine. You don't need it. It'll get that lip, but up here by the fin, I don't get anything there. Again, I try to avoid that inside of the tail area. Sorry, I'm showing just Instagram. Here's the fin where it doesn't touch tight. And then right by this fin, it doesn't touch perfectly tight. But outside of that, it's as tight as I can possibly get it. So if you, a lot of people put, like we'll put a black spine. I do it on a lot of my baits too. And if that's the case, then you can use 2 sheets of meshing. So to whatever type of meshing you want. And you can clip it on the top and bottom. And you can get it a little tighter. Like I could put a clip right here behind this fin, and I could actually get that whole back section 100% covered. This is like 98. I could do 100, and then there'd be like a gap where all the clips are, and then you just spray a spine and you spray the belly white and it hides it. I like to spray the whole spine so I get the scale pattern, and then I fade it back. Like I pull it back off with a lighter, like a darker color to just kind of hide it in the spine a little bit. It's just me. However you do it, you're going to do it. You've seen some of the lures. I do, and it works fine, but if I ever want to do more detail, then I need a better one. I mean, yeah, you're, like I said, you're fine. I wouldn't rush. But as you go further, if you want to start doing a little more hand detail, then I would definitely invest in a bigger brush. And to be real with you, just think about it as far as baits go. If you're going to sell baits, just start like, I need to sell this many baits to get a new gun, and then work your way there, sell those baits, get a new gun, and just kind of, that's how I started. I mean, realistically, that's how I still do it. That's what I was seeing. Thanks. Perfect. White on the belly. This is just an opaque white I did on the belly. I did a transparent gray because it's the only gray I have. I go white over there, then I'm gonna have a real defined scale pattern on the top, and it's gonna be a real blended one in the bottom. So you're not really gonna notice as much in the belly unless you look really close. On the back, it's gonna be more defined because I got that darker underbody. Do you have that one sold yet? This one is going to somebody actually that's here. Fish and Create, what's happening? Thanks for jumping in. So, we said a shad. Just think, we're gonna shad this up. Okay, I'm going to re-hit this with white. That's what we're gonna do. So this is just a little bit more opaque white. I actually should have used the golden white. It's a little thinner. This is Createx that I'm using, but I also have golden that I use. So again, for the YouTubers, if you watch my video on how to paint scales, this is all I'm doing. Always hit it on the edge. And that way, I'm doing this super thick because I don't need the colors on here. Today is Saturday the 18th. of June. Next Friday, so 7 days from now, I'll be traveling to Hershey's, Pennsylvania. I'll be passing the Susquehanna. If anybody's got some tips. I'm gonna look into how much it is for a foreigner's day pass for fishing. Maybe do a little swim bait fishing on the Susquehanna if I got some. I was talking to Joe Sermel, a former podcast, and he was making comments how I've never had a real Philly cheesesteak. So I'm hoping when I'm down there, again, any suggestions, be happy to take them. So all I've done is gone over a little bit with white. Now we're gonna get shaddy. Pull up a reference pic. So reference pictures will not be had, unfortunately. Okay. Every time I put it down, pick it up, twist it around. If I move these too much, the mesh moves. If the mesh moves, then the scales move. Then I do a big washed out pattern and it looks like dog water. So still have the same look. It's a lighter. I know it still looks darker. Some of that is the color coming through. Just a pearl, and what this is going to do is going to give it a real reflective shine. And that's going to, so now my white, even though it's white on the belly, I'm going to have, you're going to see the scale pattern on it. So I just, like, really loosely, I didn't do a great job cleaning it out, but because I just used white. So I'm just mixing the white that was in the gun with the pearl that I'm spraying right now. As the white starts to die down, which is technically pearl white, but I'll blend that all together. And for that, I'm bleeding the gun. I'm getting everything out. Which is, so this is the, you can see it's like a brown color. However, and what that does is just, it'll bring, if you spray the color, but it gives it a natural hue. So without adding like an actual brown or without adding black, you can darken, and it's a very natural darken. So it's a great, for me, it's one of my favorite colors to use because you can literally just spray it over top of everything and it'll just bring it down a shade if you need it to. So I'm going to hit around the face a little bit and the spine. I'll try to do this. So on top of this, I am adding this on top of the pearl. So some of that pearl will come through, which is going to give it a real nice shine. So see, I'm just painting that back. It's giving it that brownish, almost gold color. Again, super natural, which is what we're going for. Here, fly just landed on my head. That thing's been down here all day, and it's driving me crazy. You can't ignore it when a bug lands on your face like that in the middle of a live stream. You can't just play it off like it didn't happen. You have to address it. Sepia is definitely a color everyone should have. I agree 100%. So I just faded that right down the body. Just like that. What I'm actually going to do is take the same sepia and I'm going to run like a lateral line. We're just going to play with this shad, just make our own color schemes up. If that fly lands on me again, though, we're going to have an issue. So. Just ran a lateral line through there. So you can see there's like a light patch right along the spine or the shoulder, darker on top, dark lateral line. Action is brutal. Every single time, action is brutal. Every single time you do a pass, it's very pass at the same light darkens it like 15%. Bring it back through another 15%. So you don't have to, like if I just sprayed it on thick, it would just bead up and look like garbage. Sepia you put on real thin and you just layer it and layer it and layer it, and it'll get thicker and thicker, and you get the perfect color we want. So I still have some gray showing through here, that light white, and I just separated the grayish shoulder from the white belly. We're gonna do a shad, so we want a shad dot in here. I don't want to do, we will do black, and then we'll actually put some color into the black. It's gonna look mint. I had a thought and I already forget what it is because I can hear that fly. Okay. It's over there somewhere. I just have a lot of things going on. It'll show itself again. I'm going to catch it Mr. Miyagi style. You're going to see it. Okay, so where was I at? Black. Now, when painting a paint, unless it's very specific to an unnatural color, meaning you're doing like a fire tiger or whatever, black is fine. However, true black, right out of the bottle, like this, try not to do it if you're going to paint a bait and you want it to look a little more real. Because true black is very, very rare. It always has some type of pigment in it. So there it is. Oh. It looks black. But when it sprays, if you're trying to get more of a realistic color down, always add the color that you're working on, which are natural in nature. So like putting a dark green, even if you put a little blue in it, you'll see how it's not going to be black. Try to avoid it because it's going to look good and it never looks exactly the way you want it to look. So I always recommend putting a little color into it. If you don't want to do like put green or something, use a color that you're already using. So meaning, like right now I got sepia, I wouldn't put that in, but I would put a little bit of gray in maybe, just to dye it down so it's not true black. Just because again, something natural like this will look very unnatural if you spray just raw black into it, like I have in my gun right now. Which actually you're going to be able to see, because I'm going to spray black on this. It's going to look really dark, but then we're going to take some off. So I'm going to try to do the spine. I'm going to do a little bit in the face. I'm going to rock the shad dot there, and then we're going to see maybe put some pattern along that shoulder, the gray shoulder. So black is very easy to get carried away with. I can almost guarantee you already I'm going to get carried away with it. Gun pressure is pretty important here because you don't want to overwhelm everything with a super thick layer of black. The thinner the layer, it sounds irrelevant that I'm covering it. Super important. Okay, so as this dries, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint just not around the whole eye. I'm just going to come across the nose, cut through the eye a little bit, and just kind of shape up this upper gill here. So See, I just kind of shaped the gill there, cut through the eye, shape through the gill, cut through the eye. Try not to do a worse job on this side. That's pretty good. A little bit of paint dried up on the tip. Let's try to clean that off. And now the shad dot. Shadot. Again, we don't want perfect circles. That's something that I always used to do. A shad dot is just a nice circle right in the side. I try to now stay away from a perfect circle, kind of make it a broken circle. And that one got bigger on me. I have to be to look if you do it identical. What is important is location. You want to try to get them located as close here, and this one be like way up front or way at the back here. So that is now I'm going to do a bunch without the scale pattern on, but now I'm just what I want to do with the scale interference for a week and a half, so you kind of got to bear with me. But I painted the gills. I did all that because I had black in my gun. However, I don't like scale patterns on my gills. I try to avoid face. If I can, I'll do detail. Scale patterns, which are just dots really, on the gill plates. But I don't like to have the matching scale pattern on the face. So I have to do a little repainting in here, get this a little closer. Let's change this light up a bit. Sorry, Instagram, we're moving you around here because you're connected to this light. Too many lures above me here. Let's readjust you. Okay, that's a little better. We were really dark on Instagram, I just realized. Sorry about that. So we have that on there. You guys, I hit this with a highlight, so this is going to be a nice, I'm explaining. I don't need to explain. So try to be careful when you're taking off the alligator clips, because if I pull it too far down and it pulls the meshing with it, because it gets stuck in those little tiny teeth, you pull it, it pulls the mesh. If you don't have a good setup, then it could scratch the paint off. You also don't necessarily want to use a hair dryer, like I've been heat setting all my paint when you're doing this step, because if you're using a synthetic like a loofah, then let's get this back. The fly is on a coffee cup right beside me, just taunting me. Hard, because I would have exactly what I wanted. So you can see we have that nice scale pattern. Can I zoom in here? Oh, I can. Let's zoom in, everybody. Picture's a little better zoomed in. So down here, Instagram or Facebook, YouTube, you can see we got that color. That's what I was talking about in the face. But we got that nice bright belly still, and very defined scale patterns. Instagram, I'll show you the same thing. See that gold coming through? That's the sepia. Got a nice defined scale pattern in here. I'm gonna wash it out of the face, and then I'm gonna fade all that down so you're not. So I'm gonna hit over that. I'm gonna hit over that shad dot again while I'm doing some of the detail. Zoom these back out so you don't see my. We're gonna go over. We're gonna fade some of that out now. That's. Maybe I'll. I think too much. I think much too much. So I'm gonna do white. I'm gonna go back over that cheekbone again, or the gill plate. I'm gonna call it the cheekbone from now on. Something's clogging my gun here. Okay, so I'm gonna hit that face plate with the white, get rid of some of that scale. I'm gonna have to go back over it with black anyways. Trying not to spatter the white too much around, so it took a little longer than I was expected. Now I'm gonna clean that out really good. What are we at? 52 minutes for a shad. For a custom shad, 52 minutes sounds crazy. You would think that by now I would have shortened this process up a little bit. There we go. Airbrush cleaner. I use a little bit of. Actually, this might be more. This stuff's like. Okay. If you ever use alcohol or anything like that, just make sure you get a couple sprays to your gun before you put it on your bait, because it will be blended in and spit paint that you're putting on. Too defined. You just gotta soften it up a bit. So that's all I did there. Just soften up the spine a little bit. Just like that. Also for the scale show in some of the areas. And now I'm just gonna hide the rest of the scales on the gill plate or the fish cheek. Okay. Okay. Bull City Custom Bait and Tackle, or Bull City Custom Lures, might be. I might screw that name up. So Steve, I apologize. Basically, if I use a stencil, it's from Bull City. It's not a sponsorship. He made me some custom stencils a year and a half, 2 years ago. I don't even remember now. And he hooked it up. So I highly recommend him. He has an Etsy or a eBay or something. If you look up Bull City Custom Lures, he'll get you set up. He's actually got some really good one of them's actually a custom one that I made. I don't know what it's called. Just hit a couple of these. gill plate. With something pretty deep. You get a nice deep refined pattern on the face there. It's about the minor. Now there's some stencils that are made just for this. If you're on YouTube and you look up Jekyll Bates, she paints for Mike Bucca now, but she did just used to do YouTube and paint Bates. So good for Jen Kervasi, that's her name. However, my point is that she's got these stencils that I'm talking about. They're from the UK. She does a lot of highlights with them. This is just a custom one from Steve, though, at Bull City, that I use, because I don't often do this. I'm just doing this because I had to refade out the gill plates, so I'm just trying to blend things in a little bit more. So there we go. Got a nice little face with the spots. Face with the spots. Okay, now the last step we are going to do here on the highlight interference. What the highlight interference, the color, more the two-tone shows up. So if you put it on white, the interference doesn't really have much. You put it on black and it changes it. If I'm painting raw black on anything, makes things look way better. And if you just have, like, say I just painted this all black and I didn't do a scale pattern on this, I just painted all the colors without the scale pattern. Hypothetically, I could just take that scale pattern, lay it on top right now, and just do a quick spray of highlight interference, and I can get the feel of what I've done here. But then I wouldn't have an hour video to speak for it. I believe it's an 0.03. 0.03 or 0.05. What is it? I think it's a 0.03. Whatever's stock with the HPCS. Okay, so I'm going to try to show you here. So when I paint my glove, you can see that it's just wet, but it will have that two-tone. You can see how it's catching that light. It gives it a really cool glare to it. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Try not to stare at my face. I shouldn't have said that, because now you're going to just stare at my face. I'm going to try to get out of the way here. So you can see the black. You can see the black. It's just a dull black, nothing too crazy. What I'm going to do once this is sprayed, which is I'm going to try to do it fairly light. So I'm just going to heat this at this one. Okay, so now from that black, you can zoom out a little bit. Zoom out a little bit. So I can get a little closer. Under the light, you can see I get that green tinge, and it is no longer black. It is black in certain angles. Otherwise, it's not picking up the light that great. It's got a reflective green to it. I'm using iPhones, so it's the best picture I can get. Go to my Instagram and I'll post about it. But that gives it a nice green. It's a super natural color now. No dark black. It does have that black, but you can see it's got that green two-tone. That's what we're looking for. I don't have my eyes on me here. I do have another area of my shop that I do eyes in. It's where I do my clear coat. So unfortunately, I will not be putting an eye in this yet. You don't get to see that until my Instagram picture. So go to my Instagram, follow me on that, and I will be posting this shortly. Fish and Create. I broke the needle nozzle for my airbrush and I paid $30 for a new nozzle. I used the same airbrush. I found a place a couple years ago that was getting rid of a bunch of Iwata stuff. They were closing down. It was an art store, just a small one. So I bought like 5 nozzles. I bought 2 needles. This nut, this lock nut. What else did I get? I got the whole nozzle set up. So I got the cap, the receiver, and the nozzle. The inside nozzle feed, like the little brass part. I got a few of those. So I just kind of bought everything. Luckily, as of right now, I've only had to replace a couple parts in it, but everything I've had to replace in this gun has 100% been either user error or user error. Like, there's never been a fault in the gun. I don't put any of the things that Iwata purposely puts on to protect the gun. For example, the housing. I don't even know where it is. They come with a threaded housing that keeps this needle really safe. Keeps everything capped in there. That comes off for me. They also have the crown cover that protects the pin, the needle. That gets pitched too. So I've dropped these before and split this whole housing. My fault. Should have had the guard on. Shouldn't have dropped it. And then anything that happens inside here, it's because I play with the needle too much. You shouldn't do that. I do. So don't do as I do unless you want to pay for new needles. So again, before this gets clear coated, I always get the eyes in, take a picture for my Instagram. If you, in the next couple days, if you see a post, I will announce that it was from this live, and you can see this in better lighting. Take a nice picture that I actually use a DSLR for. This gun is getting soaked. It is bad. So we are already at an hour. My goal was to do 2 baits. I'm at an hour and 6 minutes. I've done 1 bait, which is this shad for FOF. Park that right there. Sorry, YouTube gets to see this one. However, this bait is getting painted. And I'm doing it quickly. So what I'm going to do here is a different kind of shad. That's an hour and 6 minute shad. I mean, I talked a lot, did a lot of instruction. That's an hour and 6 minute shad. We are going to try to do a 10-minute shad, give or take. Little different, different colors, same effect. So the color I'm using right now, it's a cream. A lot of times if I need to distinguish the belly scales more, so you saw I sprayed that white for the belly and then I just put pearlescent for the scales. That gets a really like fine detailed scale pattern that that blends in really nicely. If I'm doing something that needs more definition, especially like a carp or a thicker fish where the scales have a tendency to like spread a little bit more on the belly, they're a little more defined, then I would lay this cream color down first before I did anything, and then I would follow up with the scale pattern with white. And that would just the scales a little more. This bait a little, as I'm kind of just laying this coat down. This bait was to pull away from the realistic-ish. Like, we got a realistic shape here. We got a little more realistic feel. This is the old Kodachi that I made. I really wanted to lean into like just a sleek, sexy design with this one. So I kind of carved this sleek look to it. It's all about Big Bass Creations, what's happening. I don't know, this was a little more Japanese design, simple and simplistic and beautiful in the look, sleek but functional. So with that being said, this is going to be the biggest pain in my ass to paint, because I got 2 troughs that run down the whole side of it. So when it comes to scaling, there's going to be a whole section that I don't even get scales on. However, my intention was never to paint in that trough. So let's go. Let's try some. I wanted to paint that black, and what I said about like don't use true black unless you're doing like something that's not realistic and supposed to be an off black or real, like a dark black, like a fire tiger. That's kind of the idea behind this lure. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so the base coat is on shad. You know what? We're not going to do a shad. We're just going to do, sorry, right behind my YouTube camera here. Flare color shift. This is a blue with a green color shift in it. I usually use just a dot of this when I'm using, a lot of times when I'm doing my like crappie patterns right along the spine. It's not just blue, it's got that color shift, so it just gives it more depth. And you put it on real thin, and it's like, even though that's super dark, it's like a baby blue when you put it on. Baby blue with like a sparkle. Beautiful. So all I'm going to do is, I lied. I'm going to go to that trough black display case. I try to hang every first painted lure, whether it works or not. If I keep the lure as a working lure, then I put it in my shell. Like, I have a glass cabinet, a display up in my living room, and any functional bait that I've used and pushed on and sold or did something with, whatever this bait is. So the first bait that I test paint, just because it's the first finished bait, I hang it in that. So this will be used, tested on, make sure that everything works, the clear coat is okay, everything's good, and then it will be hung in my glass display. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do want to do a different color than I already have in there. I got quite a few different colors, so just try to keep it a little different for display purposes. Maybe the display will be worth something one day. Looks like it has great action. I've got a video posted. It might be in my stories actually, so it might be gone. So this looks like it's a super dark blue. It is way lighter than what it looks on this. But I'm just gonna fade a green now, like a light green, right here. This is Wicked Apple Green. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is gonna turn into like a crappy type pattern real quickly, which I don't want it to. So we got to keep these colors very generic. Because this is exactly how I do a crappie, is I would now fade that blue into a green, into that cream belly, cream, green. Set any, only heat set when you're looking to, because then you get a nice blend. I don't have like a super dark line. My gun is clogged. I knew tonight wasn't going to be my night, but good enough, close enough on this one. Michael, what's happening? Papa Red Fishing is in the house. Just got some pretty dope baits off of him. Thank you. So we got it faded into green here. It's almost looking like a Caribbean shad. So I'm not trying to, I'm just taking the bulk out of the gun right now. I'm not doing a full clean on it. Just getting the excess out on it. Now that detailed magenta that I was talking about, that's not it. Detailed black magenta. It's like a dark purple. That's what our spine is going to be. Love this color. So if I can get this out to the lick, then colors on the body, you're gonna pick up on the camera a lot better, so I can see it. Again, this is just for testing. Maybe I just leave it like that. Yeah, I'm digging that. Now all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a brush. Oh, fall over. I'm gonna take a brush. It does kind of, it's very loach, like, and a big belly fin is very eel-like, like a knife fish. Hand, again. It was carved out to be painted black. If I have to hand paint every single one, I should have heat set this first. Alright. I experimented with one piece of curd to put a hook on top. I'm excited to see where this goes. I've had this drawn out for a little bit now. I've just had the time to kind of put it into something. I've done a few things with magnets before and they just haven't been really my forte. It's not that they don't work, they work very well. But I don't make, but I tested. Magnets were an awesome idea, and you can cast, go. Testing goes perfectly. The idea of painting this trough is very quickly dying. even though I love the idea of it. But trust me, it's going to look so cool with an eyeball in there. Yeah. This was the original idea. It just goes to show that sometimes your original ideas are not good ideas. But the design is cool, so we'll leave it. Got that. You're gonna have some pretty interesting divot. You're not gonna get too many realistic patterns on this, I don't think, personally. And that's just because of overspray. I don't think I'm gonna be able to control the overspray because of the shape of this body. I'm trying to be very "45 seconds. That was me just trying to play off like I didn't care when it's killing me inside. That this portion of the idea is a flop. I mean, if the base was all, or the paint, like if the bait was all black, this would look really cool. I just got that cool fade, that gradient there that is kind of hindering it, making it not look as exactly the way I'd want it to. So we'll put an eye in there tomorrow. And put my magnets in, get everything glued up, and then we'll set this and forget it. Hand painting the trough will have limitations with paint schemes compared to the airbrush. Yeah, I agree. If you don't have one, pick up a pinstriping brush for those sharp, long lines. I do have one, and I will actually use that. That's a good idea. Bass pattern would work because of the lateral line that bass have. I agree. The problem is, like I said, the profile of this bait. That's going to be hard to see. So you can see it a bit there. The top is narrower than that hip right there on the bottom, just slightly. But if I try to put some spray on the top here without being extremely controlled, even this finest bit, I get overspray on that belly there, which is what happened, which actually looked fine. But if I'm trying to do a real pattern, I don't like the overspray. I don't like, it's one thing I noticed with all paint schemes is overspray when somebody has too much overspray. So it stands out really quickly to me. So that design there, honestly, this black is aggressive right now, but like I said, I put a nice bright eye in there. Clear coat this, maybe put a little bit of sparkle in the clear coat, who knows. We'll shine this up, get this on there, and then I just want to throw this, so again, so I can test to see the weight of the clear coat, make sure it doesn't sink it down too much. That's a crazy design, thank you. That's exactly what happened with the bait I shaped that way. That was referring to, but I've tested this. This thing swims amazingly. The weight is very difficult. It's taken me a lot of time. I have a bait. Here's one. Here's a top water bait that I made that didn't go anywhere. This was the paddle tail one. I have one that has a ball tail as well. I put, so for a top water, it was a prop bait. This kept it from hanging down, so you didn't have this hook flopping around for a top water, so you could get it more shallow. But that weight really displaced, even though it's on the bottom. and the shape of this bait is too round. So it didn't do exactly what I wanted to. It torpedoed more than anything. Where this one has the weight on the top. So up here is where my magnets go. I got the hook hanger here. I have a split, come on, it's getting late. Split ring. So I got weight on in this belly. This has been kind of a nightmare to get working. Just pull straight towards you. Out. I got to get this smashed this year. This will be a 2022 bait that gets hammered. So keep your eye out for this. And it will not, right? Thank you guys for jumping in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of the hybrid. I want to do stuff like this more. So if you missed it, I will post this on my live. If you don't want to sit there and listen to live the whole time and you'd be more interested in putting on YouTube, this, I'm hoping to figure out how to post this onto YouTube. So YouTube, Instagram, thank you for watching. And let me know if you're into this. Instagram, you guys have always been great. I know that I get the same group of people out. Love it. YouTube, if you're into it, send me a comment. Let me know if you want to see more of this. And if so, what type of baits you want me to do or color schemes. All right. And I'm hoping to put some more videos onto YouTube of whatever, builds, how I do my molds, stuff like that. So if you're not subscribed to my YouTube, please subscribe to it now. If you're not part of my Instagram, subscribe to it now. And thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Have a good night, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Now I gotta shut 2 down.